you are talking about a certain character of Hindutva, for which BJP stands. But in the name of Hindutva, see what all is happening. You have these lumpen elements called the Gaurakshaks, who are running amok on the streets, and there are so many examples of late where a 19-year-old boy in Faridabad, he was shot by the Gaurakshaks. Then there was this 22-year-old migrant laborer from West Bengal who was killed just on the suspicion that he consumed beef. Do you approve of this Hindutva agenda which is being unfolded? And there is a license apparently given to these Gaurakshaks. How is that happening?
First of all, it is by definition not Hindutva. Because Hindutva is we have so many different sub religions in our thing. Even Jain and Sikhs we consider as Hindu. It was never meant to be like that. These are gundas who have been provided protection by some politicians who train there, who go to, they are connected with Mr. Amit Shah. They're coming to who's the Home Minister. And why was Rajnath changed and this person brought, that's another big story. And then ultimately to Modi. He doesn't do what he needs to do. What is the use of going and shedding tears about the fall of the statue of Shivaji? You get hold of the person who did it and make him confess. But he will confess saying that I had to pay a bribe to the agents of Mr. Modi, and that he cannot afford. So he can cry and say, "Okay, I'll build it again." That's the modus operandi.
Dr. Swamy, why is Modi silent over these lumpen elements? I'm talking about Gaurakshaks. Then I'll come to the other.
Because he thinks it's a fall. It's a safe fallback position. Because in tomorrow, supposing the RSS decides that Modi is a pracharak, he's already over 75 and he must retire because others have retired. Advani retired, Murli Manohar Joshi retired, Shanta Kumar retired. So it is his turn to retire because he was an RSS man. The RSS brought him up as a pracharak, paid for everything, including his education, so on. And then once he became a pracharak, then they sent him to become a chief minister. So they have a right on him. And they can say after the age of 75, which comes in September.
You are saying that Mr. Narendra Modi tries to please RSS by keeping silent on these lumpen Gaurakshaks in the country.
No, this has nothing to do with these Gaurakshaks. I can tell you 100%. I have known RSS. I'm not a member of RSS, but I know the RSS intimately.
But around the general elections, you had made certain comments and, they became quite controversial. Say, for example, you spoke about the diversity of the country and you spoke in your own interpretation, which again was misunderstood. You spoke about inheritance tax. That again was misunderstood. So
it was not misunderstood. It was not misunderstood. It was misrepresented. There's a big difference. Misrepresented is different from misunderstood. Okay. So when I said something about inheritance tax, I just said this is what is a normal thing in America. In other countries like Japan, that does not mean I am promoting inheritance tax for India. And even if, let's say, that was true, that I was promoting, there is a parliament in India. There are many public platforms to have a conversation. Lok Sabha will have to decide, Rajya Sabha will have to decide. Before that, there will be discussion, debate nationally. So what's the issue?
So you don't regret making those remarks at all?
No, never. I never regret about what I say.
No, but you did give up your post. The overseas.
No, I felt because they will just twist no matter what I say, and the real issues in elections would be diverted. So it's better for me to take me out for a while, so they can begin to focus on the real issues and not on Sampitora issues.
Another news report which recently came out, and in fact, one of the office bearers of Congress, and I'm not going to name him, he said that apparently there was a phone conversation between Rahul Gandhi and Kamala Harris, and then later on, Kamala Harris's office refuted that. I want to understand from you, and I'm sure you would be privy to whatever happened. Did the call take place or didn't happen at all between Rahul and Kamala?
I leave it to them to respond. I would rather not respond.
Leave it
And
to
be very
who?
frank.
No, you're saying leave it to them. So you are saying
Leave it
that
to both. Leave it to, Rahul's office and Kamala's office. It was a conversation between the two of them. Why should I comment?
no, but since the Congress office bearers have come about informing the people, telling the press, there were reports, short snippets of this news item coming out. So what would you say? Are you going to refute
I
that?
would say whatever they said, just take it.
So which means that the phone conversation between Kamala Harris and Rahul took place.
I don't want to comment on it, And I'll be very frank. I don't want to comment on it because I know the facts and I just don't want to be, party to it. Whatever they decided, whatever they,
But
message was from both of them, that's great. And who am I to comment?
No, but if I may have the liberty to ask you a question which is like slightly nudging you on this point, that is there something very mysterious that you don't want to comment?
No, I don't think there was anything mysterious that I can tell you. Okay. But it's not my job to comment on it.
So what's there to hide? It's a good thing if Kamala Harris
You should ask them. You should ask them. What do I have to do with it? It was a conversation between two of them. So it's not my job to comment on it.
But Mr. Qureshi, there is another side to this entire one nation, one election, and that is that has the Ramnath Kovind committee thought through enough? Now, many people are saying that the very idea of, having the first phase of, one election, then after 100 days, you have the municipality election. So is this whole idea of having one nation, one election, does it look like a joke? Because where is this one election, one nation, one election, when you have a simultaneous Lok Sabha and assembly elections, but you completely segregate the municipalities and the urban body polls? So what is the idea then? Then does it fulfill the idea of one nation, one election at all?
No. Yeah. Good question. It doesn't at all. Because if you read the report, it says that simultaneous election means only the Lok Sabha and Vidhan Sabha. So, which is about 5,000 people. And 30 lakh elected representatives of panchayat and local bodies are removed from this. What kind of simultaneous election then are you talking about? And the second recommendation, that the panchayat election will be held in after 100 days. Now, 100 days is neither here nor there. It is a separate election. It is not a simultaneous election. It's a separate election with the entire bandobast repeated. And the entire bandobast repeated within the 100 days means it's a huge exercise. It's the most difficult management event of the world, the biggest management event. Before you get over your fatigue, you are deployed again. Ask if within your family, if you have school teachers who have been deployed on election duty, ask them, those ladies and gentlemen, more ladies, whether they would like to be put on this duty again within 100 days. So now they have no, as you use the right word, they haven't really thought through this. And another flaw in their argument, that if if some Vidhan Sabha loses majority and the state government falls, so election will be held. Now that is not a simultaneous election, but it will be held only for the remainder of the period. Now this creates another problem. I spend lakhs and crores for a 5-year term. Here I'll spend those 5 crores for a 2-year term, 2.5-year truncated term. So what are we suggesting? What simultaneous election are these propositions? So obviously they haven't thought through. Fortunately, since the media is totally docile these days, they have not torn this report to bits as it deserve to be, because at least these defects need to be pointed out. And I would like to remind you of one example. of a precedent we had. In fact, dragging the name of dragging the person of former Rashtrapati into a Sarkari committee is inappropriate. I've been saying
Right.
it repeatedly. Now, you will remember 20 years ago, there was a scandal in cricket of betting or something. And the then Chief Justice, Mr. Chandrachud, the current Chief Justice's father, who just retired, he was made the chairman of the investigation committee. And his report was, he was so abused by the people, the whole nation, because his report was full of flaws. He was no longer the serving Chief Justice. As Chief Justice, what he says is law. But as a former Chief Justice, you are just a citizen. So dragging him into this kind of a controversy was unfair. Similarly,
Right.
dragging Mr. Kovind, a thorough gentleman that he is, into this kind of a Sarkari committee is wrong. Now, what is the procedure about a Sarkari committee? It is submitted to the government. The government will send it to the law ministry. The section officer will first examine it. Then the under secretary will examine it. And up the hierarchy, this will be examined. And you never know what kind of, you have seen how these committee reports, what kind of fate they meet. So dragging a former Rashtrapati was inappropriate. Do you think anybody is going to be overawed by the fact that he was the president?
No, but
Therefore,
as
even
far
if the
as
recommendations are absurd, let us accept them because he said it.
I also want to talk to you, Dr. Singhvi, about the PMLA cases because you yourself have been fighting for these cases and you fought them well. Look at what happened to Kejriwal and several other cases which you've handled. And now we see a pattern where court has started making some very strong commentary on the ED officers, the way they PMLA cases. What Supreme Court said in Senthil Balaji's case. Then also previously, then we had a and Haryana High Court judge making a very strong commentary, Justice Sindhu, was saying, you need to follow certain UNO guidelines as far as interrogation process is concerned. And this was in context with Surinder Pawar's interrogation, went on for 14 hours and 40 minutes. Now, is this a late awakening by the court? This was something which the court was observing right from day one. I mean, I'm just curious to ask you this question. Is it a late awakening of the court?
Well, I hate to admit it, but I think you're broadly right to the extent you use the phrase late awakening. I have in fact spoken in the recent past saying that there was a fortress of a statute created by this government, especially through the 2015, 16, 18 and 19 amendments to PMLA Act. Those introduced several draconian features, several features of an extreme kind. So in design, this is the government which the act came much earlier, but many of the draconian features have come now. Second, having designed that, they created this fortress of fear, of foreboding, of intimidation, which seemed very unassailable, impregnable fortress. And unfortunately, courts across the country, and especially the trial for the matter started, fell into that trap of looking at it as an impregnable fortress. And then along came Vijay Madanlal Chaudhary, which is the basis of making it that impregnable fortress. It was actually a draconian, it was actually a retrogressive, and it was used even much more retrogressively to create a hawa about it, to create a foreboding and a forbidding air about it. My real point is that today that fortress has become a hut. The walls are broken, the ramparts are broken, the moat has been breached, and the time is not far when that hut will lose its remaining walls and roof also. Because Vijay Madanlal Chaudhary is coming up for reconsideration starting 16th October. But what has happened in between? All the cases you are mentioning, that this two judgments, and I had the privilege of succeeding in two. All the others are only following them. One is Manish Sisodia, one is Arvind Kejriwal. All the judgments cite those same. How they fell down? The original falling down started with Pankaj Bansal, who had the privilege of arguing, where they said that grounds of arrest, Neelu Vyas is told when getting in the car, your grounds are 1, 2, 3. Neelu Vyas's brother is told when getting off the car that the grounds are ABC. Neelu Vyas is shown the paper, here are the grounds. But Neelu Vyas is never furnished in writing the grounds of arrest. So Pankaj Bansal decided that don't give those to Neelu Vyas, the entire arrest is illegal.
Right.
That's the first wall or the rampart which fell down. Second, in Kejriwal and Sisodiya, they said that, look, forget the grounds of arrest. The necessity to arrest has to be justified by you. The case starts 2 years ago. Neelu Vyas is never called. For 2 years. Suddenly, she is called after 1.5 or 1 year, 9 months. And in the next calling, she is arrested. तो अरे भाई 2 साल से आवश्यकता नहीं थी, जरूरत नहीं थी, तो आप डेमोन्स्ट्रेट करिए कि नेसेसिटी ऑफ अरेस्ट क्या है. अरेस्ट का पावर इज नॉट इक्वल टू exercise of the power, because
Right.
you have the power to arrest. That's the second part of the wall which fell. The third is the reason to believe which you as the police officer has to record on the file must show sufficiently that your reason to believe is informed by material. I can't say on the file, Neelu Vyas has black hair, I don't like black hair, I want to arrest her. That is of course an example, but let me say Neelu Vyas did not come once because I called her. Twice she was traveling abroad. I believe she should be arrested. The reason to believe on the file must disclose credible reasons. They're all linked. Then, fourth and most important, they created a hawa about section 45. अरे भाई इसमें तो bail ही नहीं मिल सकती. This is a bar to a bail, a prohibition to a bail. You can't get bail. Because the word used in that section absurdly in the design created by the BJP government is not guilty. Now, I can't prove that you're not guilty at that stage because the trial has not started. So now courts after courts started holding that not guilty doesn't mean that bail nahi mil sakti aapko. It only means that the threshold is higher. So that's the fourth strong one. The fifth and the strongest wall which fell. This is the biggest wall which fell. That is directly in Manish Sisodia and Arvind Kejriwal. And all the other judgments are following them now. And that said, look, the constitution is here. Upar hai. The statute is here. 45. That is PMLA. Sarvopari kya hai? Constitution. The constitutional mandate of Article 20, 21 and 22 says that trials can't be interminable. Delay activates Neelu Vyas's fundamental right to get out of jail because she's not supposed to wait in jail while the trial is going on with how much? 2 lakh documents, 400 witnesses, etc., etc. So they say for this matter, assuming that 45 bars your bail, even then the constitutional mandate of delayed trial or anti-delayed trial is higher, and that will trump.
Yeah,
45.
Dr. Singhvi,
Following this, the high courts and the trial courts have become emboldened now. I find the same learned judges very amusing and very satisfying, very good to see. Now saying, no, out you go, try and never go back. I agree with you, the late awakening is correct. There was no reason why you could, there's the same law. The law has not changed. You have the boldness not to articulate it.
Right, but you explained this.
Vijay Vadalal Chaudhary will go shortly. I'm confident, hopefully, that the judges will review it. Of course, that's a matter coming up on 16th of October. Then you will have from a fortress to a hut and from a hut to a ruin, a derelict ruin.
Now, the very first question is that should Chandrachud have gone to a program like this, given the fact that just about 5 days are left for his retirement, and should he have gone?
Yeah, well, thank you, first of all, Neelu, for having me on your show. Yeah, with regard to your question, whether he should have gone, I think it was avoidable. You know, I mean, he's just got 5 days to retire. He could have done it after retirement. You know, the traditional view has been, and it's been like that for I don't know how many 100 years, that judges talk through their judgments. Right? They don't go around, discussing things with, one and all. So, if that view is correct, and that view has been followed, I think, by every judge in every country, then he should not have gone there at all. And some of the public statements that he has made should not have been made. You see, there are some exceptions. For example, you have a law college, right? Or you have a judicial academy. But then these are in-house kind of functions. So there, of course, a judge can go and speak, but not in public. So I don't think it was a good idea for him to have participated in that event yesterday.
when he made a statement, when he in fact did the Ganesh Aarti with the Prime Minister, I think you were traveling at that time, and at that time also I wanted to touch base with you and speak to you on this particular issue. And now that a clarification has been given by Justice Chandrachud saying that there's nothing wrong, the judiciary and the executive need to interact socially as well. There was nothing wrong. It was indeed a private function for which Prime Minister came. What would you say to a clarification like this? Is he trying to cover up the fault by making a statement which is equally fallacious?
You know, I don't know what he means by social interaction. Going to somebody's house. I mean, would you have social interaction, for example, with the President of India? Go to her house, to Rashtrapati Bhavan, and hang around over there, have a cup of tea, maybe have dinner, right? Or go to the house of the Home Minister or the Law Minister or somebody, go out together and watch a movie or go out together, watch a play. I don't know what this social interaction means, you know. So really, I don't know. I mean, if somebody thinks that it's okay to hang around with somebody, be pally, be chummy, go out shopping, go out to see movies, go out to see plays. If that is social interaction and whether that should be done or not, I think it should not be done. It's as simple as that.
But in one of the previous functions, also he said that it's important that the executive and the judiciary they meet each other because their budget is decided by the executive. He said things like this also in the past. So, what would you really say? That is he trying to normalize the interaction between the judiciary and the executive? Is it some kind of a new paradigm shift? Are we going to see in judiciary where meetings like these were considered a strict no-no, and it was outside the boundaries of judicial propriety? So, is he trying to bring out a totally new definition of as to how the judiciary should function?
Yeah, you see, there are different kinds of meetings. Okay, you could have an official meeting, all right? For example, on Constitution Day, for example, all right, the president comes. Earlier, the prime minister used to give a speech, and there you meet the prime minister, you meet some other political dignitaries, the law minister and others. That's okay. I mean, that's a public function, and it's an official function, right? So you're there for a particular purpose. You also have some kind of social functions. For example, a wedding. All right. I know that the prime minister has attended the weddings of the children of some judges. Okay, the president has attended, not the present president, but earlier presidents. So there's nothing wrong in that, because it's a public function, and it's for a sort of a celebration. Okay. Similarly, you may have a death in the family.
Right.
So the prime minister comes, or the home minister comes, or somebody comes and says that I want to commiserate with you. That's fine. I mean that is acceptable. Then you have these budget kind of functions where you have to discuss something. These are all official functions, and the social functions would be this wedding, a death, or that kind of a thing.
Gurdeep, my last question to you is that now Mr. Kharge and Rahul Gandhi had held a press conference in the evening. He's announced for a nationwide movement on this. Now, how will this unfold? Are you going to have a meeting with the All India bloc parties, and that's how you'll make this into a nationwide movement? How is it going to unfold in the coming days?
Right now, the parliament session is on. Tomorrow is the last day. Even today, it was all India parties who participated in the demonstration. So all India parties are one. They returned to speaker also. And till the Home Minister Amit Shah resigns, this movement is going, or he apologizes before the nation. This movement will go on. We are demanding his resignation. And to demand his resignation, today the Congress party carried out protest in all the states. The Congress unit protested today. Yesterday also they protested. They burnt the effigies of the Home Minister. And this is going to continue because Dr. Saab's insult is not merely an instance of insult. It is a well thought out strategy by BJP to erase his memory, to diminish his role. And that is what we are objecting to. That
No,
if
but
we do
you
not
were saying,
object, if we do not take a stand now, then gradually BJP will do to his memory and to his contribution what they have tried to do in the matters of other leaders, including Mahatma Gandhi, including Jawaharlal Nehru, including Sardar Patel. They may say anything about Sardar Patel, but can never ever talk about the basic work of Sardar Patel, which was to unite the peasants of this country, which was his Bardoli Andolan, his great work in developing the organization of Congress Party, his great work as the Home Minister in unifying the nation. They try to diminish the contribution of great leaders to one or two singular acts. And this is what they now try to do with Dr. Ambedkar also. And that is why they say, Amit Shah says, कि इतना नाम आप लेते हो क्यों लेते हो? That is what he meant. इसलिए लेते हैं क्योंकि he is one person whose towering intellect ensured that we have a constitution where people who were downtrodden and chained for thousands of years are now on equal footing in this country.
but Gurdeep, is it going to result into an infinite movement? Because given the fact that none of the BJP ministers who've been in the dock in the past, they've never resigned. So to expect that this movement will continue till the time Amit Shah resigns looks like a movement in infinity now.
No. No movement is infinite. No movement in this world is infinite. Issue is how much damage BJP will inflict on itself to defend Amit Shah. Till today, it has tried to defend its people on the issues of corruption because they try to brazen it out. But this time, this is not an issue of corruption. This is not an issue of maladministration like in Manipur. It is not an issue of electoral malpractices. This time, this is an issue which relates to the hearts of a substantial section of people of this country, which relates to the hearts of people who believe in equality. They may be from any community. And BJP's decision has to be that for how long and till what extent are they willing to inflict damage upon themselves.
Stay ahead with our cutting edge news app. Instantly access the latest shorts in just 1 minute and breaking news in just 50 words. Download now for a smarter, faster news experience.